Hello everybody, welcome back for yet another season of RWBY Reviews. It's finally dropped. What we've all been waiting for, the Volume 4 trailer has finally shown up. Or Volume 4 character short, as Rooster Teeth has named it. It's a bloody trailer, call it what it is. Whatever. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you guys for the good job on crashing Rooster Teeth's site when this went up. When it initially appeared, I ended up having to watching it on Twitter in like 480p mode on my little ass phone because I couldn't get their website to load. It seems to be like one of our main achievements as RWBY fans. Aside from like amazing fan art and fan fiction, we seem to be really good at crashing Rooster Teeth's site, so good on ya. I think the only other Rooster Teeth show that really crashes their site is Red vs. Blue. You know, sometimes their podcast will do it too. Oh well, I'm blabbing, whatever. Quick note, and I'm already countering this by ranting too much, but I'm trying to slim down the style of the videos. There's going to be a lot less of me describing what's going on and me just going straight to the point of the things I really want to talk about. This is for two reasons. One, I'm trying to slim down the size of the videos because 20 minutes is too long for a lot of people. Sometimes my videos go up to 30, and also I'm trying to make this a bit easier on me because as you can probably notice, I'm late with this. I'm probably going to be one of the last guys putting out like a review of this thing, and I'm probably going to be one of the last guys putting out reviews of a lot of episodes because I got a lot of stuff going on right now. I still really want to continue doing this stuff, but I got other priorities, mainly work. I got like a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit of downgrade, whatever you want to call it, but it involves me spending a lot more time working on real life stuff and not on this, unfortunately, but I'm going to do my best to keep this stuff going. So let's move on analyzing this trailer. First thing to note is that this trailer is different from the one that was leaked. This one is more fleshed out. Example 1 being the villagers running away. They were not in the leaked trailer. Sure, they showed us like the empty houses and the burning streets, burning houses, empty streets, whatever, but no villagers. You never saw them run by. So you can tell they haven't just been sitting on this trailer the whole time, as if like they had nothing else to do. There was definitely more work put into it since then. As we all know, there's been a time skip, and you can tell time has passed. Outside of just the obvious costume change, RWBY's cape is worn and torn, lots of frays and tears. The crescent rose also has a bit more detail in it in the terms of battle damage. Obvious scratch marks mar RWBY's precious weapon. And I say precious weapon because for somebody like her that is so obsessive about weapons, to not repair the crescent rose after it's been so obviously damaged shows that she must have been constantly on the go since she's left Patch, constantly fighting since the end of Volume 3. For her not even have enough time to stop at a shop and fix up her weapon. Or that also means that maybe they've just been far from civilization for that long as well. Maybe they've had time to stop and relax, but nowhere with the technology to fix up that weapon either. Something I mentioned before during my last video was how much I liked the new Grimm's details, especially their red eyes, how they leave a light trail behind them as they move around, move their heads. Now, with this higher detailed trailer, you also notice they emit a black smog. Maybe even a black aura? I really like these small additions. This really makes the Grimm seem less natural, less animalistic, and more demonic. Okay, so where are we? RWBY sees the village, she hitches a ride on Nevermore Airlines, cutting its wing off, and then diving down, landing, smashing a statue of a hooded woman outside of what seems to be a church or a shrine. Now, that makes me wonder, what sort of deity would the people of this town worship? They're not really in a city, so they might have their own small religion, sort of like how a rural area would have like different beliefs than what an urban city would have. So I'm kind of thinking, by the look of the statues, I have two theories. Either it is a church dedicated to the worship of the different maidens, or on that same theory, maybe one specific maiden in particular, maybe a hooded maiden that we all know of. Or, my second theory, a hooded legend. A hooded legend of the silver-eyed warrior. Both, while a fairy tale to those in the city, could be a religion to others. Someone in the town, in the past, generations past, could have been saved by one or the other, and saw that those powers of either a maiden or the silver-eyed warrior were godly. And a story like that, like, she rose the entire fire above my head and smote the grim, or her eyes glowed like silver and she smote the nevermore. Like a story like that by Old Geezer, although maybe the entire town saw it, eventually got passed down through the generations and became their religion. Something like that could eventually be lost to the modern world. Like, look at us, like with all of our technology and that, we just kind of scoff at a lot of that. Like, personally, myself, I'm agnostic. Like, there's maybe something up there, but I don't really believe, yeah, we're going the wrong way with this. So, something like that might be lost to the modern world and could be taken as gospel in older, more rural areas. Now, I also believe that her smashing this statue could have some sort of symbolism too. Now, if it's a shrine to the Fall Maiden, well, we all know there's a certainly newly endowed Fall Maiden that many of us would like to smash. Or, if it's a shrine to the Silver-Eyed Warrior, it could represent RWBY taking the place of a former one. Not so much in the smashing, but more in her stillness after she lands. How she stands like a statue as she waits for the Grim to approach her. You can already tell so much has changed on the technical end as well. For one, it looks like RWBY and the Grim have brand new character models instead of just reskins like we had before when they were given new outfits. This is obviously more because of their transition to Maya than anything else, because I believe they were on Poser 3 or something like that, and now they must be on Maya. There's also a really cool image, I'm going to see if I can find it, of Rooster Teeth's new rendering farm, just like this row of computers filled with GTXs. So it kind of goes to show that they're really trying to improve the graphics. And if you're gonna do that much work and invest that much in it, why not just redo new character models completely that can be tweaked more so? Especially talking about tweaking character models, the Beowulfs. God, I love the Beowulfs. They have so much more emotion coming from them with the new looks. Like this one here. Watch how it puts its ears back as it approaches RWBY. It just adds so much. Like, he's investigating, but he's ready to pounce as those ears go back. They also move a lot smoother than before. Like, these ones don't float. Like, I'm sorry. The old ones used to float. That didn't even seem like they were touching the ground so much, and they all had the same sort of... That's gonna be like an animated GIF out there one day, I bet. Okay, also, RWBY's face. RWBY's face while she fights, it's so much more expressive than it has been in seasons past. Not just her face, but all of them. I remember the Yang Mercury fight where both of them had either a blank look or one static emotion for the whole fight. Now, you're really just kind of concentrated on the fight, but this time I kind of noticed the faces, and I really did appreciate the fact that they did add those extra expressions. Each expression for a different swing, a different thought, different plan every time she attacks a different Beowulf. Talking about her face, it feels a bit different. I think they gave her a bit more definition. To say the least, I think she actually has lips. Like, they kind of look a bit lippier? Puffier, yes. She actually has, like, definition to her lips now. Her face actually kind of reminds me of a French singer that was popular online a few years back, Analyse. And in this corner, the challenger everybody's been waiting for, Pringle! Yes, everybody, Pringle! Now, he looks like a Grim that's been through a few fights. He's really damage worn. Look at his face. Half of the skull's been ripped off, kind of like an Arrancar from Bleach. He is probably one of those older Grim that Oobleck mentioned way back, that gets smarter over time.
RWBY, not every Grimm is mindless. Or rather, not every Grimm is still mindless. You see, the Grimm you see before you are so powerful, so superior to the Grimm you fought, that they've undoubtedly lived hundreds of years.
And, as I say smarter, he is smart enough to take RWBY by surprise and not charge in blindly. He's also tough enough that when RWBY swings, she can't cut through him cleanly in one swipe like a lot of the lesser Grimm. I love during this fight, the more almost planned out. Like, I'm gonna talk about this Grimm as being much higher class than other Grimm, just because he's kind of like the mini boss. This, in comparison to the Mountain Glen Dragon, who was probably a main boss, this guy is maybe a mini boss, but he is just on a totally different level than the other lesser Grimm. Especially shown here, how he just throws a Beowulf at RWBY while she's on the roofs, just basically going, well, you're next. And it's definitely not a moment where the Beowulf's going, throw me! No, the Beowulf has no idea what's going on. You could tell just by the sudden movement of how Beringal grabs it by the scruff of the neck and throws it at RWBY. This is definitely not a consensual agreement on the end of the Beowulf. But again, Beringal is just using that as a distraction. Again, showing how much more intelligent he is by other Grimm. Now, RWBY being on the rooftops, I want to discuss that just a little bit too. You notice how while she's fighting, especially she's on the rooftops and that, she's using her speed semblance a lot more and a bit less of the recoil from her gun. You guys remember like I think it was like the second last or the third last episode of Volume 3 where she's literally using the Crescent Rose as a pogo stick to get down from the crashing ship. Like, just so often she's always using the Crescent Rose to augment her own speed, where now it seems like she is much more able to use her semblance. Now, this is either from one or two things. One, she's just stronger. It's been several months, I believe 8, and she has increased her aura to the point where she can fully sustain using her speed semblance more often without having to supplement it with the recoil from her gun. Or she was forced into doing that, and either way her aura is increased and she's able to use her speed semblance because, as I said before, they're away from the city. No place to fix up her gun and no place to restock on ammo rounds. So it's probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Use less rounds because you're less likely to restock because you're not right at the school to always do it, and become stronger because you're fighting every day and have to rely less on those rounds. That's what I think. Okay, so going back to Beringal, I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping back and forth here. I'm just only doing my notes and I'm not going point by point of what the actual plot is. What makes me think that they chose a gorilla for this mini boss for Beringal? In real life, they're quite smart, but they're also fierce. Like, man, gorillas have so much strength in them that they could literally rip a man apart. The name Beringal itself comes from the scientific name for the eastern gorilla, Gorilla Berengay. So just kind of move an L from gorilla onto the end of Berengay, and you have Beringal. The only other mention of Beringal I could find while doing a bit of research was a small town in Portugal, so I'm sticking with the scientific name for gorilla. Science! The fight they have on the rooftop is great. I love the fact that, again, as I said, RWBY is flying around in her cape bullet mode more. I shouldn't use the word bullet, but it's when she's enveloped completely by her cape and she looks like a bullet flying through the air. To give herself more momentum for her strikes instead of relying on the Crescent Rose's recoil to swipe her swipes with. Swiper, no swiping. But still, she can't get a clear cut on her foe. And it's at this point Beringal just smashes the roof and RWBY falls in with it. Bottomless pits. RWBY's mortal enemy. Seriously, this is her second time falling for that bit. After some dramatic build-up, with some rather beautifully animated rose petals. My favorite scene is just about to begin. RWBY smashes out of the church window on the second floor, changing her crescent rose into a polearm mode, stabbing Bringle in the chest, pinning him down, aiming right at his head, and ending the Grimm. Now, this is all just so wonderfully dramatic. Beautiful scene, mostly because, oh Jesus Christ, RWBY's cape is so beautiful. As she lands her thrust, how it suddenly grows and then retracts, almost as if her cape were alive. It reminds me so much of Todd McFarlane's Spawn. His cape in that show is actually alive, like the Venom symbiote from Spider-Man. But I think in RWBY's case, it could just maybe canonically be an extension of her aura. I say canonically in theory, but really it's probably just a cool artistic effect that the writers and designers want in the show. Either way, I hope they continue with it. And side note, I said the show for Todd McFarlane's Spawn. I know it's a comic, but my experience with it is the HBO mini movie series that they had with it. Wonderful series. I highly recommend watch it, only if you're older than 16 or 18, depending on where you live. Moving on. So, RWBY wins the fight, and we finally get to see Jean, Rand, and Nora, but only as little phone icons as she takes a call. So, at least with this, we hear their voices, we know they're there, they're close by, and we also see that they have different designs too. We're only seeing from the shoulders up, but we can already tell that John and Nora and Ren do look different. Hopefully they got as good of redesigns. I can't wait to see their redesigns. I hope they do tease them later on, because we got those art shots on Twitter from Rooster Teeth over the last few days before this trailer came out. Character short, whatever. So I hope they do that with I want to say Juniper, but there's a P missing. I'm sorry. With the rest of Ranger. Okay, I'm moving on. After that, we are now treated to some fully rendered shots of the rest of Team RWBY. This is stuff that was not in the leaked trailer. Starting with Weiss staring pensively at the same moon that RWBY is under, which is very nice transition from the town RWBY's at to where Weiss is, by the way. I like that. Blake on a pier, I guess she wants to be a pirate, she kind of looks like one. Or Rooster Teeth is maybe going for that Kingdom Hearts motif, she is on Outset Island. And Yang with her hair up, lounging outside of a wood cabin. Now, I'm pretty sure Yang is still at her father's log cabin. It looks a lot like where her and RWBY were last episode of Volume 3. Same with Weiss, I think she's at her father's place as well. From the angle of the window as you're looking up at the moon, you don't see any sort of cityscape or townscape below, so she's obviously a few floors up. Also, you could tell that the curtains are a type of like sheer and expensive looking possible silk because they're see-through, and even the wall behind her has a little golden trim, so expensive mansion, definitely. And Blake is hanging out on Outset Island with Sora, Donald, and Goofy. I mean, probably traveling the world, probably still running from Adam, and I don't blame her, the guy is a freak. And that's it! That was kind of an abrupt ending, if I don't say so myself, but it did give me everything I kind of wanted in a nice, tidy package. Well, that's all I have. I don't really have much else to say on this. Aside from really looking forward to see if they tease us with anything else, even if it be just more character art, or even possibly, I don't know, maybe another trailer would be nice. I doubt it though. Maybe that's even why they called it a character short, so we don't get our hopes up with like the red, yellow, white, and black trailers like we're used to before. They haven't done like 4 trailers like that since hyping season 1, so I kind of doubt that they'll do this for season 4. I think this is just kind of a way to kind of acclimate us to the new style of the show, the new graphics, the upgrades, and kind of give us a taste of what they've improved. Aside from that, I don't expect any more like animated trailers, aside from the your regular sort of show trailers that kind of had little snippets of things that it's already going to be in the show, not something separate like what they call this character short. If they do, I'm going to be super surprised and super happy, but it's just the cynic in me saying like, hey, like you've only got a few weeks left, so either they're kind of too late to do it or they've been really good keeping a secret, and I'm kind of hoping for the latter, but well, you know, we can hope. Well, that's all I have for now. I hope you guys like this new slim down style. It's really, I'm assuming that everyone has watched the show or the trailer, character short, first before watching this video. So I'm skipping a lot of sort of just plot details, thinking that you guys already know it. I'm only going after the stuff that really kind of piques my interest, that I really want to discuss, like the whole like RWBY possibly conserving ammo, or the Baringo being based off of a rather sort of smart animal. Things I just generally find intriguing. So until next time, possibly until episode 1, good night everybody! Jesus Christ, it's still 21 minutes long. I said I was slimming it down. It's still 21 minutes long.